Max decided to drop their biggest thing since their immeasurable layoffs and half of their catalog, Velma, the sequel. Although it takes pride in being the biggest viewed Max original animated series on its premiere day, the show can no longer hide behind the hype of what it was going to be, because they have nothing left to offer. I've rewritten this mystery section at least 5 times, because the mystery gets even more stupid the more I think about it, so let's make sure everyone is on the same page. Basically, the military wanted to create a super soldier, but then they locked up the doctor who was working on it, named Dr. Edna Perdue, and decided to spy on kids instead for some reason. But then some random decided to bring it back up again and just so happened to find the one person reading the books from that one locked up doctor and decided to bring up the super soldier conversation again. However, this super soldier that was designed just to infiltrate meddling kids' circles was apparently also designed to be a near perfect killing machine that obviously got out of control. So said killing machine made a pact with said random and said doctor to change into the bodies of teenage girls and live on the run. I'm not even mad, I'm just confused. So let's just get to actually who the killer is.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta! Puppy power!
Hey, Queen. Girl, you have done it again. Constantly raising the bar for us all and doing it flawlessly. I'd say I'm surprised, but I know who you are. I've seen it up close and personal.
If you haven't heard by now, yes, the killer is not a human, but a dog. Yes, they dragged Scrappy-Doo into this. And I'm sure there's plenty of arguments to be made about the legacy of Scooby-Doo, yada yada. I'm gonna be honest with you, I genuinely do not care about that aspect. Only because you don't need that here. You don't need to drag any other show to explain why this is stupid. So to reiterate, he's genetically engineered to be unstoppable to most attacks and is quite destructive, but at the same time had the goal of being made to spy on meddling kids? Why would you need to bring any other show into this to compare to this? That's dumb. The person who pushed for Scrappy to be engineered was Uncle Scooby, an anonymous person within the military who turned out to be Sophie, Amon's girlfriend, Amon being Velma's dad. Why did she decide to change the plans back again? We don't know.
Before my mom was kidnapped, you saw her reading Dr. Perdue's journals and realized the research could be used to make a talking dog meddling kids would love.
Yes.
Also, if you locked up Edna, why don't you have her journals?
After Dr. Edna Perdue was institutionalized, Project Scooby switched focus from putting soldiers' brains in meddling kids to merely keeping tabs on them.
And if the project was already changed to just spying on kids, why would you push for it to be changed back? What possible incentive does Sophie have in spying on kids?
Before your mom was kidnapped, one of our operatives came across her reading Dr. Perdue's missing journals and took pictures. Regardless, the military used Uncle Scooby's photos of Dr. Perdue's journal pages to create an invincible super soldier to infiltrate groups of meddling kids.
The only reason I can think of is that she hated her current job. So your only other option was to create a killing machine?
Scrappy was a monster. And once he started killing everyone, my superiors feared for their lives. Worse, they denied any involvement in Project Scooby and abandoned me.
Well, looks like it's just you and me now, Uncle Scoob.
And now you're nervous. You did it! It seems like Sophie was picked purely as a surprise for the sake of a surprise at the expense of any story logic. Also, I don't understand why Scrappy would want to escape in the body of a teen girl if he's already shown to be impenetrable by the United States military, with the only maybe kryptonite being vacuums. Why would you nerf yourself when you have nothing to lose? He also got away with killing the people who pushed him to be a killing machine. He was 5 out of 5. And not only did he out himself for some reason in the show.
Put me on speaker. I want everyone to hear this. I'm the serial killer, and I will keep killing until I get what I want.
But even if he was somehow found out, the military literally could not defeat him. If anything, Don should be the person trying to escape into a new body, because he literally couldn't kill Scrappy. Not only this, but Sophie being the main accomplice brings forth some more interesting questions. The most important thing, number 1, she had a whole kid with Amon. When does this timeline start? She's either the most dedicated operative in the world, or the writing team spun a wheel with who's the accomplice and wrote themselves into a corner that made no sense. 2, when Velma went digging for clues despite being discouraged by Daphne's former sheriff moms.
We don't need your help, so if we catch any of you investigating, you'll be in cuffs faster than a startup founder with a weird voice.
Velma's own mom.
No more mysteries.
Seriously, I am gonna be on you like brown on rice.
The United States military,
Stop trying to find the killer. He's dangerous.
and anyone else who marginally cared for her well-being, we'd learn that Sophie attempted to stop her, but didn't have the heart to kill her. And this is supposed to be this big gotcha moment for the end of the season. By giving Velma a near-death experience as she's about to find a clue, you know how stubborn Velma gets. That's literally putting the keys in her hands to her own demise. So what was her plan here? To wait until Velma figured it out and then politely ask her to stop?
Please, Velma. For everyone's safety, including yours, just let me escape with Scrappy.
Why was her plan to wait until Velma figured it out and then politely ask her to stop? In fact, Scrappy let her go not once, but twice. Wouldn't Sophie of all people know that Velma is willing to risk death to find killers, given that she was there when Velma did this the first time? And unfortunately, this is just half of the show, because the other half of the show was senseless drama. Unsurprisingly, this season revolves around the rocky relationship between Daphne and Velma, because while the first season ended with Velma admitting her feelings to Norville, they walk it back literally in the first scenes of the second season, thus killing the love quadrilateral that they were trying to build up in the previous season.
You told Norville you loved him right in front of me.
And I've told you that was an accident literally 7 times, and figuratively a billion times.
For those who don't know, they openly marketed this show with their concept of a love quadrilateral between Velma, Daphne, Norville, and Fred. To which I thoroughly tore apart here. For reference, Norville completely fumbled the bag with Gigi, the popular girl turned artsy, who gave him a chance despite his obsession with Velma, comparing her looks to Daphne and not paying attention to Gigi's needs over Velma's. Fred spent the majority of his time lusting over women and then forgetting about them. Daphne, who may be the best of the 4, still enables Velma's behavior because she enjoys the toxicity of their situationship. Velma, who's definitely the worst of the 4, neglected having a conversation about Norville's obsession with her and instead used that energy to manipulate him, kept unsolicited nude photos of Fred despite criticizing him for being a womanizer, faked a mental health episode to manipulate Daphne and keep her away from her other friends, pretended to be a guy in order to manipulate Daphne to kiss her, casually shame her father's new girlfriend for her past, intentionally trigger her hallucinations to make it other people's problems, drove a wedge in Norville and Gigi's relationship for her own benefit, tried to out Daphne's personal secrets out of a personal vendetta, and that's just what I remember from the train wreck of a first season. But with this season, I guess I should speak about the Hex Girls.
I'm Amber, and I just moved here with my mom. She's opening an occult bookstore in town.
I was in a band called the Hex Girls. We were a real hardcore witchy goth act, but now it's time to hang up the old choker and try something more stable.
Yes, they are back, more specifically just one of them and their child Amber, who is inserted into the situationship between Velma and Daphne. Amber is written to be this all-knowing alt character who is sure of their own emotions, very comfortable in their own skin, knowledgeable about niche subjects and the energies of the universe, when in reality, one of the low points of writing a show like this prohibits this character to really shine, because they just come across as a gothic Velma. In fact, comparisons between the characters happen immediately.
The universe is not mysterious, it's governed by physics.
Classical or quantum?
Both.
But the classical model can't support quantum theory.
Okay, yes, so technically that's mysterious, but
nothing. If physics doesn't have all the answers, why not at least consider other ideas?
Wow, Amber, I've never heard anyone beat Velma in an argument.
Amber seemed cool at first, but is basically a boring know-it-all. I think we should ostracize them until they transfer schools.
Velma's just mad because she lost an argument to Amber.
Daphne, continuing her own personal arc of wanting to find herself, gets interested in the occult arts that Amber provides, with Velma calling it out because the archetype of the smart know-it-all character is that they don't believe in magic, and everything must have a reason. And in this specific case, that is accurate to many portrayals of Velma, including Mystery Inc. And while this isn't a bad trait inherently, usually writers use this to make the smart know-it-all character also be the one that ruins the fun for other people, so you have to offset it with something, like their charming personality, passion for bettering themselves, or at least being funny in the ways that they end up failing to ruin the fun. Velma has none of this, and Amber also has none none of this. While Daphne is still the best character morally within the show, it's hard to get invested in any of her dynamics because of how poorly she is treated and how empty her contribution to whatever dynamic she's in is. While Fred and Norval get some development in this season, for the grand scheme of what they're trying to do, they get casted aside pretty much because they're men. To me, I don't think that concept is inherently a bad thing because outside of gender, plenty of shows focus on specific identities to achieve a certain effect. Plenty of kid shows de-emphasize adults, plenty of shows about people of color have de-emphasized other races, plenty of adult shows de-emphasize kids, plenty of non-human shows de-emphasize humans, plenty of shows made for girls de-emphasize boys. I think why it's tough for it to work in Velma is because Velma revolves around a show concept that was attached to a group of meddling kids that included males in it. If you didn't know, Norval accidentally killed Fred's mom in self-defense in the first season when Velma figured out the mystery and spent a large part of the second season trying to get over that guilt.
Oh, you don't know what you'd do without your mom. Well, maybe I can paint a picture.
Please don't. I get it. I'm sorry.
Because my mom's dead because you killed her.
This also included Norval's father pushing weed onto him unsuccessfully. Fred, on the other hand, is convinced that his mom was falsely accused and unjustly murdered, and that the actual killer is out there. Maybe even a ghost.
I have solved Cogburn's murder.
What?
In my 3 weeks as a spooky stuff hunter, I have never seen an easier case. The ghost of Norval's grandma has struck again. Fortunately, this time I'm ready. 'Cause Freddy's partnered up with another smoking hot white dude. Jesus.
I will say in the show Calming Down, I did not mind these two as much, and I do think that their characters have improved in this season. Honestly, at the risk of being labeled a contrarian, I actually didn't mind Norval's somewhat relationship with Lola. Lola was one of the brains from the popular girls that was taken but salvaged in the first season. She begins having feelings for Norval, who's not only patient with her, but supportive. Not even thinking about Velma anymore, which is a drastic improvement. Velma and Norval even acknowledge this aspect of his 180.
As much as I'd love to stop caring for you, no joke, it would make my life so much better. I just can't.
I also feel nothing, except the general weirdness that goes with being in a coffin. But if I'm not secretly pining for you, why am I suddenly doubting my feelings for Daphne?
With that said, I don't have high hopes for them because I know the show doesn't want to build anything substantial, so for the limited time that we've seen this, I think it's pretty good. However, yes, we must talk about the legacy. Yes, they brought in Scrappy-Doo. Yes, they brought in the Hex Girls. Yes, they brought in another version of Velma and Daphne. Yes, they referred to Sophie in her anonymous form as Uncle Scooby. And yes, they continuously poke fun at the absurdity of a gang of meddling kids and their talking dog not working.
No, that whistle means drop it. Maybe solving mysteries with dogs is a mistake.
In fact, they even go with a lighter, more respectful jab at the franchise in the 9th episode.
That's the same spot you were stuck in before. We're going in circles.
But the reason why I can't get upset at that is because if you really think about it, you know what the show is about. The show is giving you every bit of energy to indicate that it does not care about longtime fans and simply wants to be a mystery-themed show that could work on Fox. But they know that if this Velma show removed anything related to Scooby-Doo and stood on its own merits, I can guarantee you nobody would care about it. This is because Fox already has a mystery-themed show that people don't care about. It's called Grimmsburg, and I'm sure many detractors know that this isn't news, but then I would ask you, if we do get another season, how can you get emotionally invested in whatever they do? Let's say they actually do bring out Scooby-Doo for some reason in the next season. You know they're going to do something raunchy with him, so it's hard for me to get upset at opening the door when I know what's behind that door was designed to get a rise out of me. And speaking about this next season, let's talk about the finale. In the final episode of season 2, Velma takes on Scrappy-Doo and loses, kind of, leading to her death. Yeah, they actually went there. And I say kind of because she does actually defeat Scrappy-Doo, but it involves her dying to do so. Now, again, at the risk of being labeled a contrarian, I must advocate against Velma's death here for one reason and one reason only. We see that Fred's mother exists in a ghost state that is able to communicate and be seen by mortals, as well as possess these living vessels, so long as they don't have a soul within them, although that's kind of confusing because she's also able to kick out souls if they are in them. Velma also exists in this ghostly form and is able to possess bodies, and it leads into the obvious question. If these characters could exist in ghostly form, then why couldn't any other character exist in ghostly form? Do you understand how easy this mystery would have been solved if they could? I'll tell you why the victims weren't ghosts that you can communicate with, because then there wouldn't be a season. It's deliberately designed to be a plot hole. However, now that she's dead, they're actively teasing yet another season.
According to this, I might be able to bring you back on Halloween.
Halloween?
Provided, of course, I can find a spell that works and no evil spirit drags you to hell or something.
Wait, what?
I didn't know what we were going to be getting with this second season, but I can say that the second season isn't as bad as the first season, but this only shows that the only way the team can make the show interesting is to actively set fires that people will care about. In fact, if you want to see a better portrayal of dynamics, check out this Mystery Inc. video here, where you can see how better handled the characters are there.